Can you tell us what you mean by permaculture? Because I've heard different people talk about it in different ways. What do you mean when you say permaculture?
So permaculture, part of it is another system of farming where we try up, we train farmers on how they can grow crops, the normal cereal crops, and they also grow fruit trees and other trees that boost the soil fertilities. Not like the eucalyptus. We don't train farmers to grow eucalyptus because they are really affecting the soil. So we train them how to intercrop like trees and other aspect and other trees so that they can get like we can get the cereal and also get fruit trees. Yeah.
So essentially, the way you are training the farmers there is that there's an intercropping system, a mixed cropping system, so that different types of plants and trees are supplying different nutrients to the soil and then to each other.
Yes.
Is that the way
Yes.
you're designing it? And are you using native species to the region?
So we use the indigenous species
Like,
because we
like what?
let's say, uh like we have other name in Kenya. I don't know whether you know them,
Yeah,
but
just tell us the local name and then maybe some kind of rough English equivalent.
so we have a name like the like we grow like mangoes, avocados, and some grape
Avocados are
trees.
native to Kenya?
Oh, no. So we have like other like the siala. The siala is an indigenous tree in Kenya. We also have like yeah, I have a number of names of them in Jaluo, and maybe I can share with you later.
Sure. How is it going? How long have you been doing this program in your village, and have you seen a boost in food security in your village?
Since I started doing this, it's not like I started doing it when I came from US. Even before, I was trying to do it, but I was like not really set up for doing it in a large scale. But I've been doing it now. I can say I've been doing it for the last 12 years. So I've been doing, and those who have been interacting with us, I think another day I can bring some of my farmers and they can testify what they have learned since I started training them. And I can tell you that a number of people have benefited from this because they found that like in the current farming system, it need like on a farming to be trained on a system where they can be regenerative rather than just farming that won't last for long. So like the use of compost, the use of cover crops, crop rotation is the way to go for the current farming system, other than just using this fertilizer that degraded the soil fertility and people have been brainwashed that fertilizer can boost the soil fertility. It won't work for long.
So speaking of fertilizers, so how the food production in Kenya, is most of it done with synthetic fertilizers, or I'm talking about in other places across the country. What is the food production based on across the country?
Across the country, people use the synthetic fertilizers. And actually, one of the challenges we are facing, like people like us who are trying to train farmers on organic farming, we don't have that support from the government. And actually, the Minister of Government, they are running for this, how they can get some budget for synthetic fertilizer being imported rather than allowing supporting us so that we can train farmers on how to use the compost, what's being locally acquired, and how they can, instead of burning maize stalks, they can turn it to a pile of compost. Then later they use it back to the soil. It's like recycling the waste, the crop residues. Then recycling, that's the best alternative. But unfortunately, the government of Kenya, they don't want to listen because they are running for how they can get source of income from otherwhere. But that's not my main worry. I'm looking for people who will really understand that synthetic fertilizer is not an alternative to increase the soil fertility. We need a very a long-term remedy that can help the sustain soil fertility for long.
Onyango, can you help us understand why synthetic fertilizers are not good for the soil? What do they do to the
Yes.
soil?
So when you use the fertilizer like the one we use, and unfortunately, the type of fertilizer that we use here, they're not the best recommended one, because these people, they're after business. And sometimes, if you're not, I don't know whether you heard of this, like last year, the farmers in Kenya, they were given fertilizer that were toxic. I think they were not good for use in their farm. And these fertilizer, when you use them for long in their farm, they increase the soil fertility, they increase the soil acidity, of which most of crop like cereal crops cannot work in the soil that has got high rate of acidic rate. They need a neutral pH scale, of which the only input that can sustain that is the compost. Other than that, there are very useful microorganisms in the soil. When you use a lot of synthetic fertilizer, the fertilizer will really affect the movement or the activity of the microorganism in the soil.
So
Hence, affect.
like earthworms and
Yeah,
bacteria and other types
yeah.
of.
Actually, they're the one which causes the good soil aeration. In their movement, the soil need also to breathe. I
So
mean,
synthetic
uh,
fertilizers kill earthworms?
yeah. When you use them for long, it increases the soil acidity, and most of those microorganisms cannot be sustained in an area where soil has got a lot of acidic rate.
And when you
Yes,
use compost-based fertilizers, so from organic waste, when you make the
yes,
compost from that, or from manure, so cow, buffalo, sheep, goat, camel, this type
yes,
of manure, that does not
yes.
affect the pH as negatively as synthetic fertilizer?
It doesn't.
And
It
the
doesn't
earthworms can still live in the soil and they can still aerate it.
for long, and they can repropagate. They will not. They multiply because they have conducive environment for their survival.
And I won't dwell on this for much longer, but the synthetic fertilizers, why is it that the government wants people to use the synthetic fertilizers? Where are they coming from? Who is
You
making them?
know, when you talk of government, has got a lot of issues, especially we do call them here propaganda. Because most of them, they're in the business, and they are really worried that if they will take alternative of training farmers on how to use compost, it will take long, and hence it will minimize them from getting a lot of more income from those businesses. So they do tend to run for these friends or these companies. Okay, we need to make a deal. We need like 1,100 million bags of fertilizer. Are you able, please, to produce? And then yes, we need to. Yeah, we are
So
able. So
just to clarify, the fertilizers that they're trying to have people use, they're made in Kenya because I thought you said they were imported, or are they imported from other countries?
some of them that are being imported, and the other government have also started to build some factories in Kenya here that also produce the fertilizers. So they only import the raw, then they reproduce them, they package and produce them here in Kenya.
And so I think this will be my last question on synthetic fertilizers, but do they use fossil fuels to make synthetic fertilizers? Are they based on fossil
Yes,
fuels?
they use fossil fuels.